Welcome to Straight from the Horse's Mouth radio show. I'm Paula Slater, your host. This is an interview-based show where I interview unique and unusual and creative people in the horse world. Okay, I'd like today to welcome Marion and Judy from Hoffman Horse Minerals or Horse Products to the show. Welcome.
Hi. Yeah, thank you.
So, Marion, this is quite a family business. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the background.
Well, we were horse breeders, had quarter horse studs, and we were running into problems with getting mares in foal, and sometimes the babies would come in with their mama right after they were born, but then their legs would start to go out at the knee, or they'd have contracted tendons and those sorts of things. And we looked for several years to try and find something to counter that, because we just, it was just such a problem with our business. And we just weren't successful. There was always a hole in the products that we got somewhere. And actually, Hoffman's Horse Minerals started in church, which is kind of laughable, but it did. There was a speaker there one day that was speaking on finances. And my husband said, he sounds like he's got a good head on his shoulders. Let's ask him about our breeding operation. Maybe he could give us some tips. So we met him after this was all over, and only a few minutes into that conversation, we found out that he was a feed specialist. And we told him what was happening, and he said, you're bringing this forth at a very good time, because he said, we have one of the best nutritionists in Western Canada, and maybe all of Canada, working for us right now, and I'll get you together. So that was the basic, and we got together and we hammered out what we were going to do, and he went ahead and put the product together, and he phoned and said that it's now ready, and it's not, carved in stone. If there's something you don't like about it, let me know. And we never touched anything. It was absolutely phenomenal, and we couldn't believe that something that wasn't a drug could work as well and as quickly as it did. So that was the basic beginning. We started with all the people who were breeding mares at our place. We would breed between 120 and 140 mares a season. And we started them all out on it, and it was just wonderful. They were so happy, and we were so delighted. It was just like a real breath of fresh air. And we went along that way. We got in 3 breeding seasons, just 2 years, because we started just before the breeding season, and we and then just after the 3rd breeding season, my husband got sick, and we had to disperse our stallions. And our our customers said, well, we can find another stud, but what are you going to do with the mineral? And that's where it came to the place where we had to put it on the market, and that's a whole other story. But we went to the co-op stores here in Alberta, and we asked them if they had a product or if they would be interested in carrying it, and they were actually working on something themselves. But they liked the sound of what we told them, and so it ended up that we started selling it here in Alberta. And in 18 months, it was the number one selling horse mineral in Alberta, and it has spread out right across Canada almost entirely by word of mouth. We've done some advertising, but not a lot. And people are just so happy. We've had at trade shows, we've had people come running down the aisle and just throw their arms around us and hug us, and we don't remember them from the last time we saw them at the trade show, but they were just so pleased that we saved their horse or this mare they had been trying to get a foal from had a nice baby, things like that. And so it's really a rewarding thing that we're involved in here, and we've made so many friends and acquaintances that have just grown with us through this whole process.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's, for me, I actually found your product by, because I was looking for something a little bit better. I have a quarter horse, and he has had a toe crack, a vertical one, for quite some time. So I thought, I'm going to look at a different mineral that I've been using. So I searched around, and actually I asked the co-op feeds, and they mentioned the Hoffman Horse Mineral. So I said, oh, okay, is there any information? And he said, yes, just go online and look it up. So I did, and I was stunned. I'm pretty sure I've seen an ad for this, a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh my, that's great. Okay, I'm going to get it. So I got it almost the next day. And so I've just started feeding it, so I'm hoping that, and he's older, he's 17 years old, and I'm thinking one of the things that you said on your website was about this is good for horses with arthritis and so on. So, yeah, I'm hoping that that'll help him a little bit, because the older senior horses, they need all the, the good things that we can possibly give them.
Yeah. And it does a wonderful job. It, we have had arthritic horses. The horse couldn't go off a walk, and it was on the mineral for about 3 months, and they were in a small pasture, and it was summer, and they just weren't doing a whole lot of running around or anything. But we took his buddy out of the pen, and he saw him out on the other side, and he was on a little hill, and he ran off the hill and jumped the creek and run up to where we were, and that was in 3 months.
Wow. Yeah.
Actually, in Alberta, of course, it was in the co-op here in Alberta, and it was so successful with older horses, it kind of got to be known as the old horse mineral. And, that's what a lot of people would go in, and usually that's when people start noticing that their horse has some deficiencies, and maybe there's something besides feed that they'll want to do for their horse. So that's when people usually come to the store and start asking, and it just has really gotten to be known as a really good mineral for old horses. And one of the main things is because it's very good for their digestive system. Older horses tend to have a compromised digestive system, and it really aids with that. But then it's also got chelated minerals in it, which starts working, going into their bloodstream right from their stomach. And so they're getting a lot more of the minerals than they would if it was a regular mineral. It doesn't start going into their bloodstream until they're into their hind gut, and so actually it really is affecting them a lot more quickly and a lot more thoroughly.
Mm-hmm. And I know that I was reading some of the information on the website and surprised at some comments or questions, about the selenium, because you do put it right at the top and make it very clear about the amount and warning, that people need to check their feed for the amount of selenium that they're feeding in relationship to the mineral. And I think that's really good.
Yes, selenium, we have found very, very few places that are not short of selenium. And, you can get selenium toxicity, so it's really important to be cautious about that. But we find most feeds really don't have enough selenium in it to be a problem to feed with the Hoffmans.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that my 3 are very easy keepers. So they're out 24/7, and they're eating hay in a round bale that's netted.
Yep.
And we feed easy cubes, and just to get them to come up. Basically, they don't even really need that, but there are some vitamins in that. And then the mineral is the top dressing, but then I'm also putting it out as a free choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the things people really appreciate about the mineral, is that it can be fed free choice, and they don't have to worry, if their horse is eating a lot or whatever. Like, it's designed to be self-regulating. It's got a daily amount of salt in it, even with the recommended rate. And so, they don't overeat it. We've never really had anybody say our horse is overeating it. The only problem is that sometimes people will go home and their horses are quite mineral and vitamin starved, and they will eat a lot at the beginning. But, the horses just, after a couple of weeks, they just back right off, and then they'll just eat the basic daily amount. But it's good to get those vitamins and minerals topped up in your horse.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and yes, Marion?
One of the things, excuse me, one of the things that I was going to mention too is that the mineral builds a really good physical base in your horse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people will take their horse and exercise them to build up their muscles.
Yes.
When they're on the mineral, we have found that a lot of the work is done. Those muscles have what they need to work properly,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to exercise, of course, but the minerals causes everything to be working right in their system, and therefore when they start to train their horse, it really is good for the quality of muscle, and it is very good for the stamina. And all of the horses that are being shown in this day and age, it builds a very high immune system so that they aren't getting sick themselves, but also not dragging it back to the facility wherever they are housed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just a really high point, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a great concern now, especially with a lot of horses from Ontario traveling down into the States during the winter months and competing down there, and then coming back up here. And we may be immune up here to certain things, and they may be immune to other diseases down there. But with the two countries moving back and forth, that's always a risk.
Yeah.
And that's,
for sure.
And that's good to know. I mean, there's always, and the natural part of it too. I'm not one on, feeding, like, I'm trying to keep my horses as natural as possible. And, that's what your product provides.
Yeah. So many people, I don't know where they're getting all these ideas from, but, a horse out in the wild, he's eating very simply. And he's getting the nutrition. I mean, we're talking wild with no fences and things, but they will get to the places they need to get to get the minerals and different things that they need. And, they're not eating all this high energy feed and all these things. And so many people are killing their horses with too much energy in the feed and feed that they're not used to. And yes, it's causing all kinds of problems. And, high starch, which of course is oats and whatnot, a horse's gut just isn't designed to digest it properly.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, again, even humans are realizing now that the high starch, or not the starch, but so much the carbohydrates and so on, aren't necessary. We are better equipped to subside on vegetables and natural foods, getting back
Yeah.
to natural foods, and I think that our animals need that. And unfortunately, we suffered, the North Americans suffered with their pets being, their cats and dogs being killed by too much wheat and other things in the food. So, I think, and then, a horse is a natural grazer. If we can try and keep them that way, that's really good. And I think the other thing that's a real problem is colic.
Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly what I was talking about. We were talking about keeping it natural. There is a lady down there in Ontario, Anne Riddell. I don't know if you're familiar with her at Barefoot Horse Canada. She very much recommends our minerals because minerals are such an important part of the hoof structure. And, she always works with us and brings our mineral to booths and whatnot. And it's just kind of part of her program. And again, just a natural way for the hoof and whatnot. She works with the actual structure of the foot and whatnot too. But, she very much believes, as we do, the health and the hoof comes from the inside out.
Of course, yes. The same with anything or any mammal. So would you like to talk about a little bit more about maybe the other part of your business? What other things you sell?
Yes, we sell pelleted horse feed. It is a complete feed, Hoffman's Horse Ration. It's got rice bran, soybean hulls, and milled flax is the main ingredients in that. And then it has Hoffman's Horse Minerals right in that feed also. And it's a recommended feeding rate of 3 to 4 pounds a day. And actually, it's a fat-based energy rather than a starch-based energy. It has no grains really to speak of. Of course, rice is a grain, but it's the proper kind of energy for a horse. And, with the minerals being right in there, it is a complete feed. Then you just add your forage to that. And trainers love this stuff because they don't usually have the opportunity to be doing, all the riding and feeding and all that too. So, the people that they hire, and this also applies to boarding stables and whatnot, it's a scoop or two and you put it in and the horses are well taken care of. Mm-hmm. And it's just one product.
Double feeding.
Yeah, I was going to mention, we had a fellow at a trade show one time. He said, I got a really good story for that. He said a guy had gone out and what had happened is that one of the fellows had showed up late for work and he just went and fed the horses. And then at the end of the week, the stable owner was going, wait a minute, this is not adding up. We should have more feed left than this. And they went back and they figured out that every horse in that barn had been fed a double feed that morning because somebody had gone ahead and fed the horses before this fellow had showed up for work. Oh. So they actually got a double feed. And, with this feed, there isn't all those gas-producing items and whatnot in the feed, and nobody knew even that it had happened. All the horses were just fine. So, that is one of the benefits of feeding a good fat-based product. Mm-hmm. We wish that we could certainly have this for sale from sea to shining sea. It is definitely, people are phoning us and can we get this, and that's kind of how the mineral got as far as it has too. Eventually it gets there, right? The other product we have is the Equine Performance Mineral, and it is it has a lot of the same ideas as the original Hoffman's Horse Mineral. It has a natural source vitamin E, which is a lot easier absorbed by the horse. It also is higher in magnesium, which reproductive horses don't need. It's higher in biotin and B vitamins. So it is more for muscle recovery and these horses that are working really hard and get muscle damage as they're working. And then it is more for the recovery and repair of the muscles. So it's a little more specific. It also is a pelleted product, and again, we wish it could be available everywhere. It's just really starting to take off here in Alberta, and it's starting to squeak into British Columbia and Saskatchewan also. So it's just interesting to see something that started on our ranch, kind of trickling all across this country.
Now,
and sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to ask, do you sell it, does it go to the States? Is it sold in the States?
We have the Hoffman's Horse Mineral, the original product. It has gone into the States. There's a mill at Effingham, Illinois that makes it. And it's actually sold in quite a few states down there. We have an Amish dealer, and he has several states under him. And this is just the mineral is really prime product for those guys, because they're using a horse really, how a horse needs to be used, and they're not just sitting in the stall or a paddock getting fat. They're actually being used, and they can use that extra bit of nutrition with the vitamins and minerals and whatnot. And they all like to have a nice shiny horse on the front of their carriage, and it certainly does that. And so he has made himself a huge business down there. If you go to the website, any of those states, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, there's all kind of lots of the Amish down through there using Hoffman's Horse Mineral. Mm-hmm. And we also have quite a big group of stores in Montana that sell it also. And there's quite a few other states too. So it was just one of those things. People read on the internet or whatever, they Google horse mineral, and we happen to come up, and then they'll phone us up and say, we'd like to get your product and whatnot. We say, well, find us a store to sell it in, or you can order yourself a ton and sell it yourself, or whatever. It's just getting it out there. And that's kind of how it's spread, as well as somebody from Alberta will move somewhere, and then they don't have their horse mineral, and they're a little excited about that. So they usually find a way to get a store set up or whatever, and get their supply of Hoffman's.
Mm-hmm. Now, are all your products available in Ontario?
Performance Mineral, to my knowledge, isn't into Ontario yet, but the Hoffman's Horse Rastrum is, and it is being milled by Spectrum Feeds.
Oh, okay.
You'd have to go to the website, okay, and go to the ration, and then click on where to buy, and it would show you the stores that are carrying it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think my boys need the horse ration.
No. Well, again, keep it simple,
That's one of the things that we have found out. A horse is way healthier if you just feed them the mineral and give them a good quality mixed grass hay. That is all a horse needs if he is not expending a lot of energy. It'll just keep him in really good health and spirits and looking, mm-hmm, great. Once you start looking at expending the energy, then you need to move into, we like to use high vegetable fat products like milled flax, rice bran, that sort of thing, because those oil products cause the feed to feed very slowly into the horse's system. So you get a nice even energy that just carries out a long ways, and you don't get the high energy and then the droop that you get from carbohydrates. And so that really is a good thing to know. And like with the brood mares, everybody almost all feed some kind of grain to their brood mares. And they are so much better off if they just have the good quality mixed hay and the Hoffman's Horse Minerals. It does a really good job, and it's what that baby needs to hit the ground looking like he's ready for whatever he got born for.
Well, that's the challenge for most farmers anymore, is trying to make sure that they have a really high quality hay. And it's difficult with the erratic weather patterns that have been happening in the last couple of years for anyone to get a decent hay crop off. And it changes from year to year. So it's a variable thing that you're working with.
Well, that's why the mineral, that's a good bridge. Because
Covers in the gaps.
it covers the gaps.
Okay.
And you have that horse still has what they need.
The forage. They need the fiber of the forage.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's best if it's got all the nutrients in it needs. But they definitely need the fiber of that forage. And then, if that happens to be lacking in some vitamins and minerals, then they'll be eating the Hoffmans to fill in those gaps.
Mm-hmm. And you're speaking of the mineral. They'll
Yes,
be eating the
mineral.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really, really interesting. And I am so glad that I found the Hoffman mineral, the horse mineral, because I think that I'm really looking forward to the difference that I'll see in my older horse and my two younger ones, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We're
well, I want to thank you so much.
Sorry, we're really glad that you found it too, Paula.
Yes, and I'd like to, and I hope that that your business will expand out so that everyone can get a hold of the horse mineral and also the other two feeds, because they sound so sane, compared to the type of feeds that I've been exposed to, and I know that it keeping it natural is really very important. And people love their horses, but they just maybe don't know how to feed properly. And, the one thing about the internet is that it allows people to research and continue to learn and to find products that they might not have known about before. Mm-hmm.
For sure. We also have a Facebook page, Hoffman's Horse Products. And, it's just a really good way. We like the social media mostly because it gives us an approachability, where people can just ask us questions, and they don't seem to hesitate to do that. And, that's, I really like that part about the internet and the social media and whatnot, is it just makes us more approachable. It helps us to better serve our customers.
Right, and I also experienced that myself, because I shot you off an email because I wanted to know right away, because I'd never thought about, the Easy Cubes, really, and I got an answer immediately, and I was so impressed, because usually with other companies, you have to wait and wait and wait and wait, and, by that time, a week has gone by or whatever, but with you, it was immediate, and I thought, wow. That's customer service. That's great, because you want to know. People, with horses, they're well, I think of them as being delicate, but you don't want to play around, and you
No.
want to know everything, because that you've either invested love and or money or both, and you want to know. Yeah. So I really appreciate that.
We've got a very interesting time coming up on Facebook. It's a fun time for us because people start showing pictures of the babies that have been born.
Oh.
And there's kind of a little bit of a contest that goes on. Who can put the picture up with the baby eating the mineral with the mama at the earliest age? And we're into like the first week of life.
Yeah, babies will eat it really early. We were talking about customer service. My daughter, Marion's granddaughter, works at one of the UFA co-op stores here in Lethbridge, Alberta. And, she knows this stuff by osmosis, basically. I mean, she's grown up with it her whole life. And that's kind of how I learned it, too. But, people are so impressed that they can go in and actually talk to a salesperson that's knowledgeable about the products, hey? And, it's really neat. She's quite excited to be involved and whatnot also. So that's our third generation of Hoffman's people in the company.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. And the other thing, too, that I noticed on the website is that you are training, you're speaking directly to your salespeople, and you're talking to them about the product and things that they may not know about. And you're taking the time and care to do that, which, again, is unique. And I think that's wonderful.
Well, we find that sales staff turns over very quickly in stores, and so we decided that we would put those videos together, and those are available on our website. And, they're informative for customers, but also for salespeople, the new salesperson that comes on, and they can go through that, and then they can be knowledgeable about the Hoffman's horse products.
Mm-hmm. That's true, and that's great. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share?
Well, as long as I've been in this business, if you wanted to sit here, Paula, we could talk till midnight.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered pretty well the basic things.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you run into something you want clarified or you have a little time and would like to add something later, that would work really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to have another interview and maybe talk about some more about the origins, because you've got quite a history, and maybe a little bit about your breeding farm and maybe the direction that you're thinking about for your company, where you'd like to go with that, and anything else that you'd like to add. But I think for today, I'd just like to make sure we have your, Judy, can you just give the website URL and any other way listeners can contact
yes, just
you?
go to www.hoffmanshorseminerals.com. And, you can go through there and find out about the different products and where to buy, and some absolutely, Paula, if you haven't been through the testimonies, you got to go through the testimonies. And the other thing is you can connect with us on Facebook, Hoffman's Horse Products.
And Twitter? Are you on Twitter?
I am, but basically I'm a little too lazy, so I just link it with Facebook.
Okay.
But it does come out on Twitter, too. And
I bet your beautiful pictures would be lovely, not just on Facebook, but on Pinterest.
Oh, yes, for sure. I've kind of played around with Pinterest a little, and, maybe eventually.
Yeah, because that's a visual medium, and people just love to consume baby pictures. It doesn't matter what. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you again, both of you, Marion and Judy, for coming to the show and talking about your great product. And I wish you all the best, but I really would like to talk to you again. So I'm not going to say goodbye. But I'll say goodbye for now.
Well, you've got my email, so...
Yes.
We'll stay in touch. Yeah, I want to hear about how your horse does, too.
Oh, yes. We do need to do that. Okay, then. Well, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Paula.
Bye.
Bye.
I really enjoyed speaking with Marion and Judy from the Hoffman Horse Mineral family, and I certainly am looking forward to seeing the outcome for my horse. It's wonderful to have a product that can benefit horses of all ages. For more information about the Hoffman Horse Mineral, please visit straightfromthehorsesmouthradioShow.com. I'm very grateful for you, my listeners, and to show my appreciation, I'm going to be offering a special draw in the next month. Please sign up for the newsletter for more information. It's Paula Slater.